Welcome back at NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. Today we're breaking down Mel Kiper's 2025 NFL Combine winners. Now he broke these down into two sections. 6 round 1 players who made a statement, and then 12 risers beyond round 1. Although I'll make note he had some guys that were in round 1 per his own mock drafts, but hey, the subsections are the subsections. Now if you want a fresh NFL mock draft before NFL free agency gets going, do us a favor, like today's video. If we get enough likes, maybe there could be 2 here at Chat Sports. Let's get into the winners then. First up, Omarion and Hampton, the running back out of North Carolina. If there were any doubts about, well, maybe Caleb Johnson could be RB2, I think Hampton kind of solidified and answered those. Kiper says he views Hampton likely to go between pick 12, pick 22, mentioning Denver, thinks he's a round 1 lock. I think the testing was important. You know, getting it in the mid-4.4s matters for his time. That's really, really good time for a player of his size. And in a really great back class, I think Hampton has very much solidified himself as RB2. Next up is one of my guys, Armand Membou, the offensive lineman out of Missouri. I'm a big fan of his game, and we've been putting him in round 1 mock drafts for a while now. I have a first-round grade on him, and he tested in a pretty ideal fashion as well. Kiper mentioning him as someone that could be a top 10 pick, could be offensive tackle 1, especially with Simmons' knee injury and Will Campbell not having good arm length, which we knew going in was going to be a thing. Membou checked off the box, getting to at least 33 inches, and, Campbell did not. I think that Bears, Niners, Cowboys, Dolphins range makes a lot of sense for Membou. Next up is Jihaad Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama. Kiper had him 19, I think, in his most recent mock draft. The testing was fantastic. This is exactly what you're looking for out of a linebacker, a modern-day linebacker, freaky athlete, gifted athlete as well. I think he's far better in coverage than like Jalen Walker is. I think Jalen Walker is a better pass rusher right now. I think Campbell is an off-ball linebacker, and I think the best off-ball linebacker in this class. Emmanwori next up here. This is maybe the biggest winner of everybody. This is just a freaky athletic testing. Now, in Kiper's last mock draft, because he finally caught up to Nick going in round 1, he had Emmanwori at 27, Starks at 14. Now he's saying he might flip those two, and he might put Nick in as the first safety off the board. When you're 6'3" and change, and you're 220 pounds, and you got a 43-inch vert, and a 106 broad, and a 4.38 40-yard dash, and you did really good production stuff, actually. You are a really good tackler. You made a bunch of tackles this year. And you got some ball skills. I've always thought he was going to go in round 1. And I think even though there's still some stiffness, like he skipped the agility for a reason. I'll give him credit for that. That's just being smart. He's going in round 1. Who is the first safety drafted, though? NE for Nick Emmanwori, MS for Malachi Starks. It is the pinned comment on today's video, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. Maxwell Hairston, the Kentucky corner, is next up here. Again, you posted a 4.28 40-yard dash. He's not the biggest guy. He's barely 5'11". He's 183 pounds. All of those are valid red flags. Kiper said he had him at 29 in his last mock draft. Now might be in the early 20s, which I think is about the right range for him. And then I love seeing like a bunch of my guys that I've been higher on throughout the process light up the combine. Jahdae Barron is next up here. There were, from NFL teams, speed concerns about Barron because he wasn't always asked to do a lot of deep man downfield coverage stuff necessarily, which isn't a bad thing with what he was asked to do. He did a lot of more short stuff and was dominant in that area. But he showed he's got speed. 4.39 40-yard dash is remarkably impressive. He's played nickel. He's played outside. He's played free safety. He's played strong safety. Mel had said that if he goes in the 4.4s, he's locking round 1. He's 4.5 or worse. He probably slides into round 2. He posted sub 4.4. So now he's mentioning Arizona, the Bengals, the middle of round 1 as potential options there for Barron. All right, now let's go to some non-combine or non-round 1 guys, he called them. 12 risers beyond round 1. He put Matthew Golden on here, which I think is kind of crazy because I think he's going to go in round 1. And I know Albert Breer even mentioned that he thinks Golden could be the first receiver taken in this year's class. The 4.2 940 was fantastic. Mel had Golden as his receiver 5. I forget it was his receiver 4 going into this. calling him now a top 25 pick. Today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. It is available more in 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. They invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if the lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if you get one wrong. Season-long PrizePicks for baseball, I always believe in doing the flex play. And I like the more thans, too, because if they're healthy, they're going to end up getting there. So go download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. Look at the comment section and the description of today's show. It's PrizePicks. Run your game. Let's go to Darien Porter, the Iowa State corner, and this is kind of overshadowed by Nicky Emmanwori. He was awesome too. 4.3 40-yard dash, had really great agility testing too. And when we did our winners losers on the DBs, we didn't have the agility testing yet. That was fantastic. Mel had him as a 3rd rounder pre-combine. He says he's going to go in the 2nd round now, which I think is probably where he should go. He's a bit older, receiver, still kind of converting to corner, but I mean, you got a nearly 6'3 corner at 195 that ran a 4.3 and has 33-inch arms. To put that in perspective, Darien Porter at 6'3", his arm length is longer than Will Campbell's, who's like 6'6 something, or almost 6'6 at LSU. He's got great length. There is a quarterback on the list for Mel here as well, Tyler Shough out of Louisville. Obviously, no Shedeur Sanders, no Cam Ward throwing. I thought that the quarterback group, Mel called the quarterback group just okay, and I think that's probably about maybe being a little bit generous there. But Mel has Shough as the biggest riser. He thought he was consistent, hitting all of his spots, and says there's momentum for Shough being quarterback 3. I don't like this quarterback class, frankly. Mel says Shough could end up going on day 2. But when you get to like the mid part of day 2, the late part of day 2, or even day 3, like age doesn't actually matter as much to me anymore because I'm not worried about getting a 10-year guy like I want in round 1. And quarterbacks can play longer these days. And I give him credit, he tested pretty well too, which I think is always a nice plus in his favor. So rounds 1, 2, or 3, a.k.a. day 1 or day 2, how many quarterbacks do you think go in the first 2 days? You're going to have at least 2, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward. How many more beyond that? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Jared Wilson, the Georgia center, put up some fantastic times. The fastest 40-yard dash among offensive linemen, 4.84 at 310 pounds, is remarkably impressive. And he had great shuttles, great vert. He's not the biggest guy. He's only played center. I don't think that means he goes in round 1, but I think round 2, where Mel's got him, makes a lot of sense. All right, next up, and I'll try to pronounce this correctly because Jonah at his podium session kind of was asked about his pronunciation and says it's Savaiinaea, I think is how it's actually pronounced, not Savaiinaea as some others said, as the actual Arizona State pronunciation, or Arizona pronunciation guide had said. I think it's Savaiinaea, I think is how you actually pronounce that one. So if it's still wrong, I'm sorry. Mel says he's looking like a late day 1, early day 2 pick. He was in some round 1 mock drafts early and it's kind of faded out a little bit there. He has the length. He's got 33-inch arms and almost 34-inch arms to hang on the outside. But he had some issues in run blocking this year, and maybe you think those get amplified at guard. I'm very curious where he ends up going, where he ends up ending up at, because he allowed more sacks than I would have liked this year. I think at least he's going day 2. Maybe a team like the Tennessee Titans at the top of round 2 could make a lot of sense for him. Apologies for the sniffles. I got whatever head cold my boy Chase Sr. had at the combine. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins out of Georgia is next up here. Great versatility at almost 6'5", 278. He can do a lot of different things for you. The production wasn't great. That was true for a lot of the Georgia front players, including Micah Williams. This is really good testing, though. This is like some chess piece stuff for you up front, and Mel's got him as a day 2 pick. Obviously, the NFL draft is rapidly approaching. Free agency is a week away. yeah, it kind of comes up pretty tight this year against the Combine. Do not miss out. We will have you covered, including live shows. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. All right, I'll try to go a little bit more rapid fire here. Danny Stutzman, the linebacker out of Oklahoma. Mel said he was surprised by how well he ran, which I think plus the instincts is a really good combination. I like athletic linebackers who have high football IQs. I think round 2, and Mel agrees, is in the possibility outcomes here for Danny Stutzman. I think the blitzing is okay. There are times in coverage I go, I don't love you there, but the athletic traits are intriguing. At least the straight line speed is. The agility was, skipped in part. All right, Demetrius Knight, and I think behind Jihaad Campbell, behind Carson Schwessinger, these are probably the next 2 linebackers taken, and these might be the only day 2 linebackers drafted. Maybe somebody else sneaks in the third round range, but after transferring from Georgia Tech where he didn't play, to Charlotte where he did play, then back to South Carolina and some Power 5 programs, the 4.58 40 was a really good time for him in the end. Jacob Parrish, another one of my guys in some, I think, sneaky good cornerback class out of Kansas State. I think he should have been in the day 2 mix. Mel puts him in there firmly. He's a slot corner. I think that's where he plays in the NFL because he's not that big. He's sub 5'10". He's got under 31-inch arms, but the testing was fantastic. 4.35, 40-yard dash, great vert, great broad. I don't think he should be overlooked the same way he was, where slot corners get a lot of targets, a lot of catches their way, but the yards were very low. I think it's a sneaky good day 2 class of corner, and someone like Jacob Parrish is included there. I want you guys to name an NFL Combine winner. All the drills, testing are over, so drop that Combine winner for me in the comments of today's show. All right, 3 more. Jonah Sanker out of Virginia, who has been one of Mel's guys, I do believe. The 4.48 40-yard dash is a good time, really good time for someone that's 6 foot, 200-plus pounds. The broad was very impactful as well. The interceptions were never very good. 2 interceptions in his career. He also did have 4 forced fumbles and broke up 15 passes the past 2 seasons. Mel thinks he could be the 3rd or 4th safety taken, which I've got guys like Xavier Watts in that range, which maybe I don't think 3rd, but maybe safety 4. Part of a absolutely stacked defensive line class, C.J. West is in here, the defensive tackle out of Indiana. Mel's got him as a possible 4th-round pick. I think that's about right. He had a good year for Indiana, kind of boosted his numbers a little bit there, 8 tackles for loss. Had more pressures this past year at Indiana than he did at Kent State, which was more in line with his 2022 campaign stats in the end, which I think is valuable there. I think, kind of is that a better weight now than maybe he was at 2023 at Kent State? I think 4th round's about right for him. Eli Cox, the center from Kentucky. Mel had him at number 10 at centers this week or last week. He says he's going to update his big board this week and says he'll be in the center 6 or 7 range. And the testing was fantastic. Just barely, cracking sub 5'1" in the 40 is awesome. Really good size at 6'4", 306. The arm length is a concern. He's a center only that will bring him down. But if you want an athletic center, which teams do these days, maybe Eli Cox at some point on day 3 is an option for you.